I don't say it lightly, but I have personally never seen such hatred towards the government ever in my life. Because up until now, it's the politics has been corrupt, it's been cringy, it was ridiculous, but it didn't threaten the very livelihood, the very existence of the population. But right now, that's what's happening.
All right, this is Renaissance Horizon with Peter from the Czech Republic to talk about the upcoming election. So, how's it going, Peter?
I'm doing fine. I'm quite busy recently, but the times and the situation in Czech Republic are growing dire.
Now, which name do you like better, Czech Republic or Czechia?
It should be like Czechia or
Or
something like
Czechia?
that. Well, for the most better time of my or greater time of my life, I grew up with Czech Republic, so I'm more used to it. So Czech Republic is better, and it's not
Okay.
confused with Chechnya.
What is the Czech Republic in store for in this upcoming election?
Well, first of all, this upcoming election is not that important per se, because it's only a municipal election and partial Senate election. Nevertheless, it will be basically a referendum of the government's popularity, and I think the current government will get absolutely annihilated because people, even mostly the normies, they are absolutely furious, and I have never seen such hatred against the government in my entire life. And it's very well deserved because they are so incompetent, so incapable of any action, any significant action to thwart the threat of electricity and gas crisis. So they deserve what's coming.
Now, remind me, which are the parties in the current ruling coalition?
Well, there are 5 parties. It's, as I said previously in previous video, it's Frankenstein's monster of a coalition. It's absolutely incompatible with each other. Their whole core, the only thing that stitches them together is that they love the European Union and they hate Babiš, the previous prime minister. And the major, the biggest party is ODS, the Civic Democratic Party. That's basically, they were founded by Václav Klaus, one of the main figures of the recent decades in Czech politics, and the main right-wing figure in Czech politics of all times. However, today this party is absolutely emasculated, and they are basically conservatives in name only, nothing more. The same applies to TOP09, or that's basically your conservatives who, leftists who pretend to be conservatives, but they are hardcore European Union lovers on steroids. There is no bigger shill for the EU in our political system than this party. Then there are Christian Democrats, basically tasteless, meaningless, political prostitute of a party. They will basically go with anyone who will give them some power. That's their whole reason to exist. Then it gets more interesting. We have the so-called mayors and independent. When the previous election took place, they pretended to be very moderate and decent and reasonable, and basically the boomer normie types of party for the people who don't like any extreme changes, who just want their lawn mowed properly and infrastructure being well taken care of and so on. Nevertheless, they shown themselves to be basically a mobsters in politics. In the within the period of 9 months when this government has been ruling, there have been about a dozen scandals of various bribery, corruption, intimidation. The biggest scandal is called dosimeter. They try to extort money from Prague city budget, and there was a huge conspiracy with encrypted phones and encrypted and shielded apartments where they had hookers and cocaine parties and so on. Very quite amusing when you
Now,
think
didn't
about
they
it.
actually campaign as like an anti-corruption?
Yes, they did, of course. It's anti-corruption is kind of a cliche in Central and especially Eastern Europe. And the last party are the well-known Pirate Party.
Yeah.
They aspired to be aspired for the head of a government, for the seat of prime minister, but then they get basically they get cheated by mayors and independents, and so they get absolutely annihilated. And now they are limping forward with only
Right.
4 seats in
Now,
the
I talked
parliament.
about them in a previous video. I remember they were basically humiliated. They ran in a coalition with mayors and
Exactly.
independents,
Yeah.
but then they ended up barely getting any seats.
Yeah.
But the media had predicted that they were going to be like the new big power.
Precisely. But they didn't anticipate the mayors and independents, because this is not the first time they have crossed their political partner. So they should have seen it coming, and they fully deserve it. But still, basically you have Antifa party in the government, so it's not that big of a deal, I would say, big of a win that they are not so important.
So in the current ruling coalition, you get the Antifa party, the mobster party, and then you got 3 Angela Merkel style center right parties.
Yes. Yeah, you have summed it up pretty neatly and better than I did. The situation right now, which I have a little hope in, is that the normies, ordinary people, are extremely furious at them, and it's easy to see why, because they have done all but nothing to counter the threat of sky-high electricity and gas prices. When it comes to electricity, Czech Republic has plenty of electricity. We have abundance of it. We export this stuff, but we have one of the greatest prices of electricity in the EU. It's like Kuwait having super expensive gasoline. It's absolutely horrendous, and the reason is that electricity is basically sold in Leipzig in Germany at the stock market, and then we are buying it back for greater price.
Oh, that sounds like a bad deal.
Yes, it's yeah, it's worst deal in the history of bad deals probably ever, as Trump would have said. And then it comes to natural gas, and there the situation is even more ridiculous, because unlike electricity, we don't have our own resources of it. We don't mine it, we don't process it. So pretty much all of the consumption has to be imported. And of course, right now, Russian gas is evil, it's bloody, and so on. So today's government, current government, is constantly virtue signaling how we are helping Ukraine, how virtuous it is. So there is an embargo on Russian imported natural gas. However, we are still dependent on Russian natural gas. So what is happening is we are buying natural gas from Germany, which is buying its gas from, guess who? Russia. Yeah. So we are buying, we are saying that Russian gas is evil and it supports war and it's bloodstained gas and so on. And then we are buying the Russian gas through Germany um, about 4 times more expensive.
In the upcoming election, who is there to vote for as an alternative to the five ruling parties?
There are basically only two opposition parties, ANO, led by a previous Prime Minister Babiš, and SPD, Freedom and Direct Democracy, which is a populist nationalist party.
Right.
It's not very well led or well managed, in my opinion, but it is the only alternative that's viable, that's purely nationalistic. Babiš and ANO have begun have changed their rhetoric to the more nationalistic and populist tone as well. So I am very looking forward to their future cooperation, because in recent years they have been kind of frenemies, if I can say it like that. They cooperated on some issues, but they criticized each other on others. But right now they have found their common enemy, and basically if they didn't cooperate in the future, they would be shooting themselves in the leg. As the way I see it, this government is going to be more and more unpopular. Right now, Petr Fiala, the current prime minister, is the least popular prime minister in the European Union. And
wow,
according to recent polls, over time, his position will become unbearable. There will have to be snap election within a year or year and a half. In this winter, Czech Republic and its population will be severely damaged and impoverished. And I see no way how the current government and the parties that comprise it will recover from it. And then when this new snapshot election happens, it will be that ANO and SPD will become new government with overwhelming majority, basically like now we are witnessing in Italy. The moment this extremely inept and unpopular government falls, and it must fall because it's basically government of national disaster, then ANO and SPD will win outright majority of, maybe even constitutional, depends on how angry the population will be. This is the way I foresaw it before, in our last collaboration video, that if this pro-EU coalition gets formed, they will go absolutely overboard in the EU shilling and globalist propaganda and so on. And they did exactly that. And right now with the Ukrainian war, this virtue signaling, the shilling, and the global homo agenda has gone into overdrive. It's become absolutely, at least for me, unbearable to watch. They are the kind of people who have virtue signaling instead of cocaine. They are addicted to it. They snort virtue signaling in Ukraine and the European Union instead of drug in their veins. and they are absolutely high every day, all day, every day.
All right. Well, it sounds like some pretty exciting things could be coming up for Czech politics then.
Yeah,
And
I think
some
we
good
have reached
changes.
the historical breaking point. Yeah, I think that the experience with Biden in America is very similar, because the prices of everything have gone up sky high as well. Am I right?
Right. Although it's worse in Europe.
Well, of course, it's worse, especially in Eastern Europe, because we are fully dependent on Russian natural gas, even though we are told we are not supposed to.
All right. Well, that's a lot of
Yeah.
good stuff about Czech politics. So thanks for taking the time to speak with me today. And I'm sure we'll be in touch again in the future.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Very happy for that you have me on. Wish us luck. Our both countries are gonna need it very well.
All right. Good luck.
See you, and I hope your audience enjoys this kind of podcast.